Are you feeling the calling to start or grow a business that is so aligned with you and everything that makes up who you are? Do you know that there has to be a way to do this without so much hustle and without chasing the latest shiny object, but you're just not sure how? You can definitely have a dream business that improves, not consumes your life, that allows you to work with soulmate clients while helping you and your family financially and in all ways. You can elevate yourself to be the entrepreneur who has all of her desires. I'm going to show you how on the Elevated Femmes movement. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Elevated Femmes movement. Today, I have with me Vero Diaz. She is an integrative wellness coach for female and non-binary leaders, executives, creatives, and healers. I'm so glad I didn't mess that up because I was like, okay, I don't want to seem like I'm reading it, but then of course I'm reading it and we're all just being real here, guys. So I'm so excited to chat with Vero today. Vero is a fellow Latina and she's doing some really great things in the online space. And, you know, I feel like you have a very unique way of working with people. You kind of blend a few different things. You're an artist too. So I'm just excited to chat some more with you today. I've done a live stream with Vero on her Instagram. I think it was like a few weeks ago or maybe a month ago already. I feel like time is flying. I don't know where time is going. August, like I blinked and August was gone. But yeah, so here we are. Vero, please tell us a little bit more about you. I know you do photography, so tell us a little bit more about like where you like started with everything that you're doing now, like maybe where you went to, like what you went to school for. Share with us if you've always like wanted to be an entrepreneur, and then we'll take it from there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for having me here on your beautiful podcast. We really had a good time in our life, so it's great to be here. So thank you. And a little bit about me. To answer one question about the entrepreneurship, yes, I've always loved selling ever since I was very young with my sister. I have an older sister, so we would sell from cakes when she got a little oven for Christmas one day. So we would like right away, like, we can sell the cakes. And then we'd go outside and sell them to neighbors. So we didn't do so well, but it was a good start. And then it took me, right? You can start small.
You start
and
somewhere.
Exactly. And it was a great experience and it didn't stop us. Then we went to start other little things, but the big one was a jewelry business when I was around 13. So from 13 to 15 or 16, I had a jewelry business with my sister. But then after that, I kind of stopped business. I moved to Canada from Mexico and Guatemala. That's where I grew up. And then moved to Canada in Ontario. So there I did my undergrad in environmental studies and Latin American studies. So that was kind of like the beginnings of my search in academia of like, what are the solutions for all the situations, like the global situation of climate, of poverty, of gender disparities, and all what we would call like oppressions, or the UN, you know, the goals like to stop all these things. So yeah, so I really went really deep in terms of literature, looking at culture and art. And then in the environmental field, looking at the like real life solutions, like community gardens or global governance, water sovereignty, all these different things that are all stemming in focusing on sovereignty, really, of self, of communities, and of different groups. And so that was really good. And it also went more and more looking at myself as well. And in my master's, I was able to do a really cool program where you created your own guided journey. So that's at York University. It was really, really it's a very innovative one. And in my cohort, we had a lot of different artists and different people from different backgrounds, like sciences and like different focuses. And so it was a big group of artists and women of color, people of color. And so that was very, very inspiring. And there, I really wanted to focus on looking at my indigenous roots as a form of knowledge, of knowing, of learning, and of healing and transforming. So that was really, really good way of getting into that. And from there, I looked at the transformation as kind of like a methodology of for self and community. So
Hmm.
that's kind of like my background.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. So, um, I know that you have a very spiritual side to you. So I wanna to chat a
Oh
little bit more
yeah.
about that too, because on your Instagram we talked about a little bit about like your family and like some of the gifts that you have. And so I to me that's so cool. I've always been very interested in spirituality and
Mhm.
and I share this with you, but like not always trusting myself and my own spirituality. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's one of those things like you just kind of like learn more about yourself the more that you dive into it. And it becomes so cool the more aware that you become to like this really great power that we all have. So to share with the listeners, you guys listening, I shared on Vero's Instagram that when we were, I guess it was before, oh, we had a connection call. So we had a connection call and we were just kind of chatting about, okay, how come, collaborate? And, we're
Mhm.
both in the same coaching program. And so we were talking about auras. And then so I'm sitting there and Vido's telling me about, our family and how some people can see auras. And I'm like, hmm, hmm. And I'm like, wait a minute, is an aura really supposed to be like this outline around you? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, I think I can see yours. So it was kind of funny because I didn't know that I never really like paid attention to, it was never something that I like
Mhm.
when I'm with someone or in a live, like I'm not like they're like, okay, let me see if I can see people's auras. So it was this great like discovery that I made. And it was just really cool. So um but yeah, so tell us
Yes.
a little bit about this like spiritual side of you and how you use it a little bit to not a little bit, but you use that that's like it's part
Mhm.
of what you do to
Yes.
help people.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for mentioning that. So, in my master's, just I guess like following the story is
Yeah.
perfect. Um, so one of the pillars was connecting to my artistry. Like, what is my practice as an artist? And then the other another pillar was what is my background, right? Like the roots, like in the indigenous roots. What does that mean? Even like to reclaim it, if like for generations there hasn't been a connection very deep, but it is. It's like this pull back and forth of is it not? Is it palpable? Is it spoken? Is it non-spoken? So this is like interesting dance. So then the other pillar that I connected with the spirituality one. So in this one, I was brought up Catholic in my home. For many generations, my family has been Catholic, and so um, there was always like a nervousness of even going against the dogma or the beliefs in the family. So it did take some time to even as I'm learning about what it is to be indigenous or like mm, more and more of the traditions and how they were illegal, got criminalized, and the different
Mm,
stories, right? So there's a lot of anger that brings up or that's there.
yeah.
So that's part of the story. But the thing that I want to really share is that how I was able to experience it and tap in was through my artistry. So I realized that my art making is very spiritual. So then I started looking at like, okay, so how do I create art and what is art for me? So then in that moment I decided, okay, I'm going to make art purposeful, in a space that is sacred. And so I started doing that. And so from that point, it was a shift in terms of my battling of Catholicism and like what it is to even go against it, and like what would my parents say, and like all these like huge things, because it's such a backbone of our culture, like
Right.
in Mexico, right?
No,
And I'm
I can
sure a
totally
lot of
relate
you
to that.
guys can resonate.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, so, and I didn't want to be disrespectful in a way. It'd be like, oh, everything's wrong that you taught me, because there's some really good core lessons that I still keep in my heart, and I still live by them, right? So as I was connected more into my art and including that way of connecting to the land, and that's like land-based spirituality, connecting to the elements, to the fire, to the water, to the earth and the air, and like really honoring those ways of viewing and connecting to like our life and our living. Like a lot of space started to open up in my life and in my being.
Mm,
So I just felt like this is the right thing to go to do and to focus
yeah.
on. So that was really, really beautiful in a way for myself, and also including that in terms of the students that I had. So the classes that I taught and the different programs that I was running. So including that kind of framework was
Yeah.
so powerful. It was so palpable. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, how is this happening? Like when we talked, right? It's like, okay, this is what it is. You can see like a bright light around people, and you can see the colors, and you just start seeing things.
Yeah.
It's just like we're just so spiritual. We don't even know, right? It's like spirituality is just an aspect of human being, human
Right.
nature.
Yeah.
So even demystifying it, right? Oh, I like the word mysticism, but like decoding it, like
Yeah.
bringing it away from like, oh, only a few people get to be spiritual, you
Yes.
know?
Oh
It's
my
like,
gosh, I totally
no.
agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree. Yeah. It's almost like, you know, we can sometimes put those people like before you really tune into your own spirituality, it's like you see other people who are like, I don't know, like a psychic or a tarot reader. We think they're so magical and they're very special. And it's like we actually all kind of have those gifts if we just really tune into them, right? So yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about, I know that you love to empower women, you love to support um, people in the queer community as well. We'll chat some more about that. But let's talk about how you embody everything that you
Mhm.
that you do, and how you see, like, I hate to say like what's missing in women's life, because I feel like we're never really missing anything. It's just about kind of like realigning and finding what is best for us. But for a lack of a better word right now, let's just say, like, how do you see, like, how are you able to help somebody like fill the gap for them in their lives
Mhm.
and embody all the things that can really make them step out as, that glorious person that they're meant to be?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the question. One of the things that I've realized is recovering that inner connection. So a lot of us are always looking outside of us for the solutions, like finding the answers out there. But what I teach my students and my clients is how to learn and keep that inner connection. So because from that inner connection is where so many answers, like all the answers are there from within, and from within is from where you connect to divine and to those answers of the universe, God, creator, who you connect with and how you connect with to the all. And so I've realized that it is the way that I I kind of fill in that gap, or
Yeah.
what's missing.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just like my gift, it's like since little, people would just tell me their secrets, and I would be like, okay, what do I do? Well, I'm keeping them, safekeeping. Okay, thank you for sharing. I feel honored. Okay. And then more and more, right? So I started realizing, it's like, oh, it's I started speaking Spanish. It's like creating a cocoon space for people to figure out what's happening within, because they would tell me, like, it's the first time I even hear this for myself. I didn't know I was so angry with a certain person, or like a memory just happened and I never knew that happened to me. It's like, what do I do with this? So then from those kind of instances of facilitation, like in my early 20s, I decided to, okay, you know what? I need to do more training to be able to hold these spaces of raw transformation within people. And then from that, and also from my story, it's like, how do I connect? How to find the answers? Like, I felt I could do so much for people, but I couldn't do it for myself. So I was like, how is this? Like, what is this? I don't understand. So from learning a lot of different practices like Reiki, learning like the energetic body, how it works, the energy centers, boundaries within like the spirit realm, or like energy bodies, as well as going to theta healing and really diving deep into the issues of why maybe one can't connect to oneself. It's like a huge block that happened in like their mother in the womb that doesn't allow you to connect to yourself anymore. So it's like all these different ways of allowing a person to be fully optimal, like fully alive and happy and well. So that's how I like to give to the world, or like aportar, gift something, and
support a little grain of salt.
My little grain of salt, exactly. And the other one's human design, like this thing of like, oh my God, I can read people so well. I can tell them, like, you know what, like, did someone pass away? And be like, oh, just last week. I'm like, oh yeah, I can feel that person there. They want to tell them something. It's like, okay, can I ask you, can I tell you a message that's coming through from your deceased one? So doing that for them, and then coming home, be like, okay, I can't figure out myself. Be like, I don't understand this. So for example, human design really helped me with that. And understanding, it's like, oh, as a projector, you give so much good advice, like as a advisor to the world, but advising to yourself, it's going to be a little more trickier. You have to learn some things, deprogram. So we're like the most programmed as Zero types. So yeah, I could keep going, but please stop me if
I think you brought up some really interesting modalities that I'm sure a lot of people have heard about, like well, maybe not a lot of people. Maybe we can touch on a couple things really quick, but things like womb healing, that I've heard of that, but to me that's just like, it blows my mind, because I'm like, how is that possible? I mean, I guess it is possible, because I feel like, as a mother, somebody who's had 2 kids, it's like, I do feel like I have a connection, or I had a connection with my babies when they were in my belly, right? So it's like, yeah, that makes sense, but it's just like kind of mind blowing to think that,
yeah, there's so much that we don't even comprehend in our everyday life, but I feel like in your soul, you know it,
Yeah.
So it's like, I like to provide that for that space of remembrance of the complexity of who we are. And like, as mothers, like, I always thank mothers, like, thank you so much for bringing humans to this world. Like, you're bringing a human life, a whole being through your body. It's just like incredible. And I can't imagine, like, you're together in one body, like, for 9 months. It has to create some kind of reverberation in like the molecules, like, in like all levels, so and so I'm very curious about going deep in like even like quantum physics, like how does it work? And quantum physics is looking at these things, of like frequency and how like sound is super powerful, right? It's like everything's made of waves, so therefore, sound healing and music is like incredible for our well-being. Same as color, right? They're waves, so it's like colors create shifts within our psyche, within our mood. So it's just so much that I guess we forget, as we're living our lives. It's like,
Yeah, that's so
right?
true. Or even nature, it's so today, quick story for everybody. So I yesterday was a holiday, so my kids were both home, and I signed up for a half marathon next month because I was like, I need something on my calendar because I've been really wanting to get back into running. And I just kept, and to be honest, life has been busy, and I have a client early mornings most days of the week, and I'm not about to wake up even earlier than I already do. So I've just been like, okay, I'm not the time of my life right now. I'll get there. Like, I'll figure out a way eventually. So then my daughter started going to daycare, so I had a little bit more time. And so I'm like, I have to put something on the calendar because that's like, then I'm going to really stick to a training schedule. So yesterday I was supposed to run, but the kids were home, and it was, my husband was working from home too. So I could have left them and gone, but then my son wanted to watch a movie, and I was like, I want to bake muffins and watch a movie with him, like the run can wait. So anyway, today I was like, okay, well, I'll run on the treadmill while my daughter is napping. Then I was like, oh, do I really want to run on the treadmill on a beautiful day? I'm like, what if I just run in my backyard? So I did 2.5 miles in my backyard and my like driveway. And I don't have the biggest yard. So most
Back
people
and
would
forth?
probably think, yeah, back just, round and round. Like I have a toddler too. So I did a few rounds up there, then back down, then in the driveway. So yeah, 30 minutes of running in my backyard, but I got it done. And it was so much better than being on a treadmill in my basement. I was outside. It's really a beautiful day here today. And I was like, I don't care if I'm wacky. I don't care if my neighbors are like, what is she doing? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it felt so good to like stick to my goal and be outside and get it done and be back, be back in time for our podcast recording. So, yeah, I think the lesson there is just that I knew I wanted nature. I knew I wanted to be out in nature because it's been one of those weeks where I'm like, gosh, I need a little bit more of like calmness in my life right now. Like I've been trying to do a little too much, I feel like. And I was like, I need a lot of nature right now. I just need to like breathe fresh air and go for my runs. So it's really about like just tuning back into like you tune into your body, right? And like stay close to nature. And that always makes such a big difference in our energy levels. At least for me, it always does.
Yeah, definitely. It's such a potent medicine.
Yeah.
It's just such a sacred mirror to who we are. It puts us back into what you said, calm, peace, like just
that
dropping
alignment.
all the mind focus.
Yeah.
It's like it's all good. Yeah. I'm better than I thought.
Totally. I always think of running as like it's like active meditation because I'm almost able to kind of just allow my mind to maybe not get super quiet, but at least to not be so like sometimes I can focus more. Like if I'm like, okay, I just need to figure out this one thing, like just give me that like sign, or let me know like which way I should go with it. Sometimes I get that when I'm on a run. Or
that's awesome.
Sometimes I'll get like an idea and I'm like, okay, let me try this. So yeah, I think that's why, like, because people ask me sometimes, like, why do you run? Like, and I'm like, it's not really it's a lot more for the mental health, like the the kind of like shaking off the cobwebs and just being outside in nature as often as I can. I mean, if I have to really run out inside, then I have to, but for the most part, I really prefer to be outside. So,
Definitely. It's
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, it reminds me
So,
of swimming. But yeah, tell me.
yeah, no, swimming too. I'm not a swimmer. I used to be. Maybe one day I'll get back to that. But yeah, it's just swimming. I don't know. It's there's a little bit of a fear, I think, that has like gotten in me as
Ooh,
I've gotten older. So I got to work on that one. Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Should do a little trial if you're interested. We'll go through, we can do like a little mini session about
Yeah.
water connection with you, and we
Oh,
can
I'm a water sign. I'm a Cancer, so I don't know. Yeah,
Oh my God. Yeah, there's
no,
definitely something there. And especially if
something
you,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a Cancer, it's a mother sign, sign of the mother. So interesting. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, you got some ideas. But one more question for you, because
Yes.
um, as an ally of the queer community, I just also want to talk with you about how you integrate working with the queer community and all this wonderful work that you do. Um, I always like to
Hmm.
advocate, and I've had, I think, at least one other person um, who works with the queer community. So yeah,
Hmm.
tell us a little bit more about how you integrate that work.
Yeah, I really wanted to make space for other queer people or people that are like even in the wondering stage of it's like exploration, the questioning, um just to like ease out in terms of having to perform something. So and be like, okay, this is like a super queer space where you can just be, like, doesn't matter, we don't have to use any titles if they're not interested, or labels, or you even have to touch on it. But because like it's really awesome to be able to create a space where there's like, have you heard of queer futurity? I'll nerd out a little bit.
No, I've never heard
So
of that.
okay, so it's one of those theories, big bodies of work that started, I think, in the 90s. uh it was in Munoz, I think his last name is. So anyway, so it was all talking about how uh queer futurity would be the space where then gender is not even existence.
Huh.
So it's like either where we don't even have to, there's like no more fighting of like having to mm, showcase or to prove that who you are or how you identify. So I was in love with this theory of like in the future, just imagining in the future, you didn't even have to, if you don't even want to, you don't have to gender yourself. You can be like genderless, or you can be like one day, okay, today I'm like more female, I'm like a femme or woman. Today I'm just non-binary. So it's like just like binary is goodbye. I don't even know. I'm in the spectrum. Or yeah, so just like this idea of like freedom in terms of gender was just fascinating for me. And then also going through my own experience of coming out, of embracing my own sexuality, and even still being in the exploration, and knowing that I'm a very curious soul and I will be in an future or endless exploration.
Yeah.
And sometimes words doesn't really encompass who you are. So kind of like bringing that experience from academia of like opening my mind to be like, oh wow, like there's so much possibility, even having like thousands of words for gender, and you can just create your own. So that in terms of your own like own sexual experience, like for myself, and also being in a lot of different communities, queer communities, there's just always a huge need of having safe spaces or brave spaces, or just containers where you feel like you can just let go, and just be. So I really wanted to provide that for people. Yeah, and provide the spiritual mentorship and training that I do see that there's not a lot of even like women of color providing these teachings. So I thought, you know what, para mi gente, Latina, Spanish speakers, also wanted to provide that. And then for queer, gender queer people to just be like, okay, we're here, we're weird, we're cool, we're different. Let's just let's just be and learn in this space that feels like home.
Well, that's great. That's great that you've created this safe space for people who really might need support, just because of everything else anyway that they're probably dealing with.
Exactly.
So, to wrap it up today, thank you so much for being my guest today. I'm so excited that we have connected. I feel like you have so many cool things to say and stories. So people definitely want to follow Vero. So people want to follow you somewhere, anything that you have coming up, tell us where they can go to learn more about you.
Yeah, right now I'm very active in LinkedIn and in Instagram. So LinkedIn, Vero Diaz, you can find me. With several of us, you can put integrative wellness coaching. And on Instagram, I'm as vero.diaz.elevates. So that's there. And I just launched a really cool thing. I just launched art and spirit shop. So I'm selling my art there, prints where you can get an activation. So they're all created in this way of like spiritual art, of prayer, of codes and transmissions. So you can check that in link in my bio in my Instagram.
Great.
And and then I have this really cool program. It's called Inner Blooming, and it's a coaching and training where you learn all the things that I've been talking about. So
awesome. Great. So I'll share all those links in the show notes, and make sure you follow Vero. Thank you again so much for being on here with me today, and everyone, I will see you all next time.
Thank you for listening to the Elevated Femmes movement. I would love to hear your thoughts on the podcast, so please leave us a review. If you know someone who could benefit from the episodes on the show, please share it with them. We need more women elevating to their highest potential, enjoying all the great things in life, having plenty of time freedom for their children and loved ones, while growing a business that improves, not consumes, their life, and doing things in a smarter, not harder way. To connect with me and download my free resources, please go to www.juliamhickman.com.